Hey guys, this is Rick coming at you with Weed to No Basis, the podcast for all things cannabis business related. Are you an entrepreneur? Have something you wanted to create, something you wanted to bring to life in the cannabis industry? Maybe you've always wanted to partake in one of the biggest industries in modern day history. This is the podcast to listen to. Hey everybody, it's Rick, Weed to No Basis. You're here at MQ, aka our home. So actually guys, this is a shared space. We live in a high rise in San Antonio, and so just to be clear, when I say home, you're literally you are in our home, but this room here is kind of like this is a 10-story building. This is a shared space here. So we come down here and we reserve the space and we record here, but this is where we live. Like when we're done recording, I close my computer and I go upstairs and that's home. And that's really what we're about, guys, is making you feel comfortable, welcoming you into our living room so we can talk about what makes a good cannabis business, what makes a good CBD entrepreneur, and more so, how do you become one? We're here to give you transparent, authentic, responsible, ethical information on how to do all that in the modern day green rush. And if you're listening or watching, it's because you too are on a Weed to No basis. I want to talk about something now that we're 70 plus episodes in. I want to get back to basics. Simple. That's literally the topic today, back to basics. And that topic, back to basics or getting back to basics, if we have to say that or think about that, it's likely because we've forgotten the basics. I'm not trying to give you a brain teaser here, but think about that. You may hear it like, let's get back to fundamentals. But often you hear folks say, it's back to basics. You hear it when after the football game on TV, the coach says, we need to hit the fundamentals. Or you hear it in school or wherever, we need to get back to basics. When people say that or think that, it's likely because they're off course. Really consider that statement, guys. So what I want to do is I want to smash the back to basics mentality and give you something today so that you never have to think or say, let's get back to basics, because if you have to get back to basics, it's because you're off course or maybe you're veering in the wrong direction. Think about what I just said. Stop right now, replay that last 12-second snippet. I want to smash the back to basics mentality and give you something today so that you never have to think or say, let's get back to basics, because if you have to get back to basics, it's because you're off course or maybe you're veering in the wrong direction. See what I mean? If we have to read something or listen to something that says time to get back to basics, the question to ask yourself is, how did I ever veer off course? Is it because there's a lack of strategy? Is it because there's a lack of vision? Maybe something happened in your life or business. What precluded that? Guys, what I want to talk about here, we're talking about business now and life, because as an entrepreneur, guys, there's no separation. If you're a business owner, you think about your family and business 24/7. They are one and the same. So I want you to be thinking about, as we talk about what back to basics means, have you had to go back to basics? And if so, what was the event? What was the thing? What was the moment that took you a little off course? Because that's where the biggest learning comes from, understanding how we got off course. Beyond the concept of back to basics, let me give you some things you can sink your teeth into. You know, one of the things we talk about, especially when we're on stage, is not just theory. You know, it's easy to talk about theory. So the big concept, if you will, is the theory. Whether it's in a book, whether it's something we've learned, whether it's something we've heard or read or have been taught, there's theory. And then what I like to do is talk about the next level, is how this has been applied in real life. Perhaps it's an example of a person that has applied the concept in real life. Perhaps it's somebody or an example of a company that has applied that theory or concept in real life. But then the third level of what we talk about here, and what I talk about on stage, is what I call a bias towards action. It's then, how do you take the theory and the story and apply it in your life and business? And so it's easy for me to come on, for anybody to say, oh yeah, well, you should be doing this, or you should be getting back to basics. You see what I'm talking about? That's the theory, the concept, the direction. But how have I applied it in a business or in real life? And then what are you going to do? So let me tell you what you can do. A few shows we did recently were recaps of events that we've spoken at, right? You've probably heard them. We did the Reno recap last year. We did the Newark, New Jersey Real Cannabis Entrepreneur recap, which was in 2019. We did the CBD.io recap. But think about what I'm recapping. What I am recapping is the fact that my brown ass was at an expo. Basics. You see how that works? See, a lot of people start with the basics. They'll say, I want to get into the industry, and they'll message us or they'll Instagram, and I'm happy to tell them pretty much the same thing. Two things to do. One is if you're brand spanking new, wet behind the ears, have no concept of what the industry is about, go to Barnes & Noble. Seriously, it's free. You can sit there. It might cost you an Uber ride if you don't have a car, a bus ticket, whatever it is. Go to Barnes & Noble, sit there and read the magazines for free. I would tell you to buy them, go home and read them cover to cover. Basics. Literally, guys, I didn't plan this, but I have some latest magazines here. There's Pain Medicine News, there's Green Entrepreneur. The reason why I do this is because these, in my mind, are fundamentals. These give you a monthly update of the hottest trends, the articles, the ads, who's doing what. Wow, look at that, full page ad. I don't know who that is, but that's quite an ad. The point is, guys, this for me is a fundamental. This is a basic. And I always tell people, go read first. It's free. No skin off your back. The only commitment to resource you have to give is your time. And then some people say, Rick, I've done that. I'm like, okay, here's the next thing I would do. Go to a freaking expo. There's a conference somewhere close to you, more than likely. But then here's what happens. You see, those can be considered fundamental elements of understanding the industry, the business, right? Who's doing what and where by when. Those are two things where you get up-to-date information. Literally. The expos are growing, the expos are changing, the expos are shifting. We've given you examples of different expos we've been to, but then we get caught up. We start running and hustling and grinding and sprinting and doing all the things that we're supposed to do as an entrepreneur, and guess what we stop doing? Basics. And one day we realize that we have to get back to basics. So here's what I'm going to compel you guys to do. Don't ever steer away from the basics. Make this a part, whether it's reading, whether it's a blog, make the basics a part of your daily routine or weekly routine. Plan on those events. We don't just send teams to events. I go to the events. Me, as an entrepreneur, as an influencer, as a branding person, as a marketing, as a media channel, guys, we get to these events so we know what's going on in real life, in real time. Those are the basics. That is something that we have always done and will never stop doing. It may sound painful. You may even think, well, I've been doing enough. I already know about that. Guys, I'm telling you, Tiger Woods, back to basics, swinging the club over and over. Michael Jordan, back to basics, free throw after free throw after free throw. You name it. You name it, from any industry, from any walk of life, any vocation, it's always the basics, the fundamentals that keep us sharp and on point. Don't steer away from the basics, guys. I'm looking down because I take a lot of notes. I take notes. I know you guys can't see, but we keep a timer going. We have hydration during the show. I have my computer up because I take a tremendous amount of notes, guys. Basics, literally. I'm telling you, like literally right now, as I'm telling you, I take a lot of notes. It's because I take a lot of notes. I am always striving to keep the fundamentals at the forefront of my mind. It's not easy, guys. And how do we veer? When we veer away, how do we come back to basics? We do episodes like this. It's like, seriously, like so somebody out there like my mom or my wife might be saying, well, Rick or Ricky, you never veer away from the basics. I'm like, yeah, I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I get a little on the high horse or a little greater than thou. I've been there, done that. I don't need to do that anymore. But it was a reminder to me that I was veering away from basics. So we decided to do this episode on getting back to basics. And by doing the episode, it puts me right back in basics. See how that works? This may be an episode you guys come back to. So, getting away from basics is the mistake. Getting back to basics is also a mistake. Always staying on point with the basics, fundamentals, foundational elements, guys. It's where you want to be. You should be practicing fundamentals and basics every day. Again, and some simple things to do, guys, are read a blog every day, read an article every day, pick up something that's relevant to you and the growth of your business and your industry, especially if you are responsible for putting food on your table. Never veer away from the basics, guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. Short and sweet snippet today, guys. I wanted to keep it that way so you can come back to this when you feel your ship veering off course, when you feel yourself in the hustle mode and not getting back to the things that got you there. Come back and listen to this episode, Getting Back to Basics, guys. We're guilty of it as well. This is one way for us to get ourselves back to basics by helping you get back to basics. And I said that way too many times now, so thank you for tuning in. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Love to hear your comments. Leave some below. Share this, tag us, tweet this out. Let the world know that Weed to Know Basics is something for free, one of my most favorite F words, that you too can help to become a better cannabis or startup CBD entrepreneur or cannabis entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Coming at you from the heart of San Antonio, Texas, the heart of Texas in San Antonio, Hemp Cube. You're listening, you're watching because you two are on a Weed to Know basis. Stay in the basics. Have an awesome rest of the day. Peace.